So today's topic, let us jump into it. Powerful retention strategies pre-sales. That's really what I'm saying. Like, just so you know, if you read the title and you're like, I think I know what he's talking about. At the end of the day, let me tell you this. One of the biggest issues that I see with sales organizations right now is there's a misalignment between incentives for, how do I put this? Incentives to close a new business deal and incentivizing someone to actually use the product. My friends, that's an issue. That's an issue, right? It's an issue if you have one part of your organizations that's the biggest, makes the most money, usually has the biggest like bat to swing in like certain meetings. If they are focused on the concept of closing more deals and that's their only KPI, and you have another team that's like, I need these guys to actually use the product. That's the friction point, right? That's the Chris Jones to Joe Burrow. If you guys watched the game last night. So how do we fix this? That's what today's topic is, this idea of how can sales better ensure that we create users. And I've got a saying, if you follow my LinkedIn lives or you follow the newsletter, you might have even heard me say this before. An organization's job is not to create signed contracts. Although we put a lot of effort on that, generate meetings, sign contracts. An organization, and it's not just a software organization, but certainly software has a piece of this. A company's job should be to create power users, right? Like at the end of the day, we want to create people that are using the product. If they use the product, they don't churn, right? This is not like a rocket. How about this? It's not necessarily a rocket science idea, but why aren't we executing it? You know what I mean? Why aren't we going about and executing it? What's going on, Bella? Thank you for joining. Appreciate you. So I'm going to get into some ways that you can fix this. All right. So here we go. So number one is what I just said here. Becca, just so you know, when I copy and paste this, the one doesn't copy and paste. So if we could, for next week's show, just add a one to somewhere different, so then I can copy and paste it. It would be helpful. Thank you. So align everyone to this goal, right? Imagine sitting your sales team down and saying this, guys. Hey, look, our job, I want you guys to get signed contracts. That's step one. We have to get signed contracts. We can't keep the lights on, etc. But I want to make sure you are teeing up these people for success as users. You all have seen the stats. It costs X amount more to generate a new customer than to keep one. It's like we know all these stats, and then we keep doing the same stuff. We keep not incentivizing salespeople. So, like for me, sit down with your revenue organization. This starts at the top. The CEO, if you're the CEO of a company and you're watching this, or you have a CEO, or you have a VP of sales, you all need to all sit down in an SKO or all hands. I don't care if you have 1,000 sellers or you have 10 sellers or 2 sellers. Our job is to do one thing, is when we close a deal, make sure these people are set up for success. It seems crazy. Like, Jake, yeah, obvious. But I'm telling you, a lot of people aren't doing it. Okay, so that's number one. Align everyone that the end goal is power users. Number two, comp plan. This one right here. A lot of you listening, and by the way, a lot of you are listening, you might be like, well, Jake, I can't do shit about the comp plan. And I get that. Okay. This one is for my leaders in particular. Okay. If you are a leader and you are watching this, HubSpot did this. There's already a example of this in the wild, and it's HubSpot. They comp their rep on first year renewal, right? So if you don't want to disincentivize or do a clawback, that's fine. If you're like, Jake, I don't want to, I want my reps focused on hunting. Yeah, sure, whatever. Okay. But I'm going to tell you this right now. If your sales organization has some part of their comp tied to renewal, you're going to have a more difficult part aligning your two organizations. So that's one. Number two is, again, maybe it's in the first 3 months, maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's a year, comping everyone involved on growth. Again, I want my sales team, okay, think about this. What I want my sales team to do is I want my sales team to say, hey, here's step one of our journey together. And Lisa's going to be working with you on step two, but here's what that looks like. Here's how we're going to grow together. So even if that rep doesn't keep the account, they're incentivized to help with the growth and expansion. Right now, if you only incentivize your sales team to close the first deal, my friends, you are dramatically hurting your revenue. Dramatically. And I can tell you this. Look, and just so you guys know, I'm definitely a walk the walk person, not a talk the talk person. This year, I realigned our new business sales comp to where it is 50-50. They get paid 50% on net new and 50% on basically the total number, which is like a mix of net new plus expansion. Why? I want my new business team to focus to getting the right people in, bring them in. Then we take care of them on the back end. So I'm telling you, align your new business team to do the right things for the organization. Strategy 2. Oh, whoops, I might have accidentally did this. Okay. So you're like, Jake, I get that. Makes some, well, maybe you're like, I kind of get it, but maybe I don't. Strategy 2 is this. It is go after the right customers strategically. Okay. Well, what do I mean by this? What I mean by this is that your customers, okay, you can't maybe afford to have all of your customers fit in one of these like proactive tiers where you're doing this. Instead, make sure that, again, if you want to align and create power users, make sure you have dedicated ways proactively that you engage with each type of client. Our white glove, our tier ones, we're going to have these proactive touch points. Our tier twos, this, and then have sales talk about it during the sales process. Great. So as an organization, you don't have to tell someone they're a tier 2 or a gold or a silver. I don't care what you do. But all you're going to do is just tell them something very, very simple. You're just going to say, great. The beautiful part about how we work together with you, again, this is pre-sales, is we're going to have a weekly meeting or a monthly meeting. And we're going to be talking. The first month, we talk about these things, getting it up to speed, troubleshooting. Month 2, we start office hours. Month 3, we do this. Imagine a world of me as a customer. There's this new book out by Matt Dixon, who wrote Challenger Sale, called The Jolt Effect. Okay. Don't get it wrong. The Jolt Effect, by the way, is not a sales methodology. Candidly, it's like a really clever way to describe this called the fear of messing up, which has been around for forever, which is really like people need to know the implementation plan to feel comfortable. And so you don't lose to no decision. Many times you lose to no decision because people are like, wait, what's going to happen here as a part of this? And so they're like, wait, okay, what happens when we go live? And they're like, I don't know what happens when we go live. So again, make sure, go after the right customers, create those tiers, talk about how you're going to proactively add value to those customers in the pre-sales process. That's it. That's all you got to do. I cannot tell you how many deals in my career when I was selling, when I was in like the job space and then in SaaS and, VPs of sales, that I won because I know that we did a better job of talking about how we were going to make them successful on those proactive tiers and touch points. So if you want to win more deals, especially in 2023, you got to do what my boy Matt Dixon says and eliminate that fear of messing up. FOMO is what he calls it. Number 3 is goal alignment and talking to the right people. This is a good one. Okay. So again, I see a lot of people, like I'll tell you an example. I was actually just having a conversation with one of the people at one of our consultants at Skaled about this right before this. And your customer might come to you. And in this case, my consultant came to me. Jake, our job here is to increase adoption of this technology for X. I said, well, that's not a goal. He's like, well, what do you mean it's not a goal? I said, how do you define adoption? How do you define success? I don't know. Exactly. How can you help someone achieve anything if you don't have it? If you don't have a goal, my friends, for those of you who aren't familiar with SMART goals, maybe somebody out there can go copy and paste in the definition of SMART goals for me. SMART goals is like the tried and true here. What do you call it? Like the tried and true, like way to do goals. But there's one thing that I anchor on, and I think what makes me really good at goal setting or helping others with goal setting just as equal is I'm very good at getting to the T And depending on, sometimes I think some people have SMART, it's the R, it's the results. The T is the tangible. In another version of SMART, doesn't really matter. But if I can't measure it and I can't define it clearly, it can't be a goal. And getting the AEs to adopt the technology more effectively, that could be a goal of your customer. I want my team using this product. That's not a goal. It's not a goal. How do you define usage? Is that a realistic goal? Can we even get there, right? A lot of times R is realistic and then T is tangible, right? Is this a realistic goal? Is it tangible? So I want you all to think about that in particular. That is this goal, do we know what the goal is? What are they actually trying to accomplish here? Right? Not just, are they trying to, I don't know, drive usage? They want to do X, they want to do Y, whatever it might be. There we go. Becca for the W. SMART goal: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound. So this is one definition. I'd had another. Specific. This is measurable. So just think when I'm talking about, is it measurable? It cannot be. Now I'm just going to go ahead and tag that consultant I was talking about right here. He's starting to put out a lot of cool content. Go check out what Neil's putting out. Neil talking about you right now. And then you got to put a smile there just so he knows, like, not talking trash, just giving an example here. All right, y'all. So that is number 3 is again, goal alignment, getting the right people, understanding their needs and what they're trying to accomplish, and then making it measurable. That's it, y'all. You got to make it measurable. It's such an important part of this journey is to do that, is to make it measurable. So, make sure you do that. Okay. And last, but certainly not least, and again, what we are doing here is we are talking about how to get pre-sales to help us retain more customers and close more deals as a part of this. Okay. Is bring in customer success or account management early. And again, guys, this isn't new. My sales teams were doing this 18 years ago. We were doing this shit. Wait, is that right? Maybe not 18 years ago, maybe like 15. How old am I? Let's see, 10. Yeah, 12 years ago we were doing this. What I would do is, once a deal got to the finish line, again, if you're going to hand someone off potentially, or someone else is going to be involved in usage, get that person involved so they can start to build rapport with the customer. I cannot tell you how many deals we even closed at Skaled. What do? We bring in the consultant they're going to work with, right? Sure, people want to talk to me or talk to Kendall or Ricky or somebody on our team or Neil or Brad or whoever. But at the end of the day, they need to talk to the person who's actually going to make them successful. Hey, do I believe this person? Do I think that this is the woman who's going to help me get there, or the guy who's going to help me get there? Do I trust them? Again, all those things help to answer that question for me, that fear of messing up. Is this going, I've talked to them. They actually know what they're talking about, so I'm not too worried about it. Oh my gosh, we did this all the time at every sales org. I bring in that CS rep. Great, let's talk about the onboarding, what's going to happen. So then as a seller, it's called, who did this? Zig Ziglar. If you guys don't know Zig Ziglar, he's a sales training legend guru. And what he talked about, I think Brian Tracy is another one of those guys. I think he might have too. It's you put them in the picture, you put them in the story, and that's what Zig Ziglar talks about. It's like, you tell a story, and you're like, so when you're sitting at your breakfast table, you're talking about like selling a house, right? So imagine this breakfast table, you can look out through the screen, through the sliding glass doors, and you can see that cherry tree. And imagine being able to have breakfast every day, and you can see the cherry tree. He's putting people in the story. It's that visual. You all probably just got that visual, like, oh, I'm sitting at this breakfast nook, I'm looking through. So when you talk about onboarding, you talk about what happens next, you talk about the ongoing partnership, you're putting people in the story. They start to see themselves. They see the organization. They see what they're going through. And the CS person, the person who's actually going to work with them to get those goals, is actually the person who's talking about it as well too. Right? So imagine that world. So now in my new world, I've got like this person, they understand the impact, they understand the ROI. My compensation is there to make sure that they use the product and grow the relationship. And I'm talking about I'm putting him in the story. I'm putting him in the implementation. We're talking about the like what's happening and all those things. I will tell you this. This is a really interesting. I literally just learned about this. Service like mess up paradox. Hold on. I'm gonna find this link for you real quick here. Oh, sir, this is it right here. This is called the service recovery paradox. This is wild. I'm in a CEO group called what do you call it? Called EO, and EO is for entrepreneur org. Just so you all know. And one of the guys in my forum, he turned me on to this. So it actually says once you mess up, you can actually create a stronger bond with your customer. It's kind of wild. It's like you can actually, the data shows you can have a higher customer loyalty if you have made a mistake first, which is kind of wild, right? So anyway, check out that recovery paradox. I thought it was like pretty cool concept. I'd never heard it before, so you guys can check it out there as part of this. So yeah, but again, I also like to say like, hey, let's just try to not have things come up ahead of time, and go from there. And then bonus here, I'm going to give you a last one. So those are my, what do I got? 5 for you basically. Number 1, align everyone in the organization to one goal to create power users. It's so fun and powerful, and yeah, like where people are using it. And when you make the hero in the story, like usage versus closed contracts, I'm telling you, everyone can rally around that, not just sales. So power users is number 1. Number 2, comp structure. It can make your whole life a lot easier to do what I'm saying is if you think about the behaviors you want for your customer and to incentivize and compensation. So some of you might have to skip ahead on this strategy because you can't do anything about it. That's okay. You can still execute the rest. Go after the right customers, create those proactive touch points. Talk about, hey, so when we go live, we'll do this, and then there's this, and it's this beautiful story they're putting themselves. That goes to number 3, goal alignment, measurable goals. Like what I told my boy Neil this morning. Jake, we need to get the AEs using this piece of technology. That's not a goal. That's a hope and a wish. Cool. A goal is specific. Let's see. Becca dropped it in, so I will make sure I use her definitions of them. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Every single one of your customers, every single person that you sign up as an organization should have a SMART goal attached to their account. That's it. Every single one of them. Okay. Number 4, bring in CS bring in CS earlier. Make sure that what you're doing is you're bringing them in so they can see the person, they hear the person talk about making them successful as a part of this. Bonus chapter here, I'll give you real quick. This is just a quick bonus, is use data to influence this over time. How you're going to work with people, adjusting the tiers, goals, etc. Like make sure you have a way to measure a lot of these things so you can make the customer experience better and better and better. And when you think about especially producing tiers for account, who should be up here versus who should we not spend, don't just do it based on the biggest companies, do it based on propensity to spend. So it's not just the biggest, it's also who could spend a lot with us. And that's what I got for today.